So I have just finished SOMA, literally seconds ago, and I thought I'd try and record my final thoughts, my feelings towards this game. I think feelings is actually a better description for this, actually. This is a game that definitely tries to evoke feelings and thoughts as well, but I have a feeling you're supposed to feel knocked off guard. You're supposed to feel unbalanced, a little unable to think coherently. Actually, throughout the whole game, it's strange. I started playing this game thinking it was going to be a horror game. I mean, it is by the makers of Amnesia, Dark Descent and Machine of Pigs. And I knew it had a vaguely sci-fi feel to it. But to be honest, after playing it, I'm not totally sure I would classify it as a horror game at all. I think I would consider it a sci-fi game, but in the classic sense, like the old sci-fi movies. It reminds me of something like Invasion of the Body Snatchers or The Stepford Wives. Those kind of... the sci-fi that makes you think. Sci-fi that's a little creepy. A little what if. I mean, most sci-fi is what if. Well, most classic sci-fi is a what if kind of thing. But it has that creepy, slightly disturbing edge to it. And I'd say that's the closest it gets to horror. It's disturbing. It's got scary moments. It's got a few frightening moments, a few tense moments. But no more than you might find in a lot of games. You know, I think I had plenty of moments in games like Metro 2033 where I was a little nervous, a little scared. But I never had moments in this game of sheer, unadulterated, heart-beating terror, the sort I had in The Dark Descent. I mean, The Dark Descent was a terrifying game. And of course, Machine of Pigs I described as less terrifying, but more horrifying. And at first I thought this game might be horrifying as well, rather than scary, because it does show you some things that are a little messy, a little squishy. But honestly, in the end, I didn't really get horrified by anything either. Not the robots. Not WoW. There was no clear-cut evil. There was nothing in it. There was nothing in the game to hate beyond the sheer crappy look, the harsh nature of the universe itself. There was no enemy, there was no bad guy. Even the things hunting you, you didn't get this feeling of evil or anything else that was personal. It really was more about the internal struggle, the internal... I don't know what you call it, not even fear, but this feeling that you weren't real, that you didn't belong, that you were fake. Who are you? What does it mean to be you? It's the sort of game that just makes you constantly ask questions. Am I alive? What does that even mean? And, you know, every time... I mean, by the way, there's going to be spoilers in this. There's going to be spoilers. If you're watching this hoping to get a feel for the game, I'm going to be spoiling it. So you want to stop. I highly recommend playing the game. I definitely recommend playing the game if you like creepy, thought-provoking, story-driven games. Very atmospheric story-driven games. But there will be spoilers in the rest of this. So yeah, I mean, when I first made a copy of myself, and then you immediately take over as that copy. You have this sudden realization that the you that's been playing up to that point for several hours is now dead. Or, well, not dead, but his game has gone in a different direction. And indeed, because I pulled the plug on him, his game was over, so to speak. And I was starting again with a complete set of memories that had been programmed and copied in from somewhere, but I was a new entity, a new being, a new mind, a new me. The third me that I had played. Because, of course, I did play a few minutes of Simon Jarrett himself. So I was on my third me. And that was a very weird feeling. And, you know, at the end, when you realise there's a fourth me, minimum, it kind of knocks you. It makes you wonder. I mean, it's something I've often thought about when looking at sci-fi series like Star Trek, where they teleport people from A to B, and what happens is they dematerialize, they just destroy the atoms in the body, take the pattern, and then they send an energy stream somewhere else, and then they use that energy to reconstitute matter afresh. But in many ways, it's kind of a complete copy of your... It's like destroy one and copy it. It's a perfect copy. But is it you? I mean, what does it mean to be you? You're alive, but what does it mean to be alive? I mean, being alive is a process. And at the moment of demolecularization, that process ends. And then they start it again new, but is it you? I'm sure the reconstituted being thinks it's the original, because of course he will have the memories, the feelings. But is he? And that's, you know, I mean, some people would argue, you could say every time we go to sleep that happens. You wake up and it's a different you, who knows? Weird thought, I suppose. But in this particular case, it is very much a copy of you. And you know that person still exists. In SOMA, you know that person still exists. I mean, they have this thing in the game called continuity, where the idea is if you die soon enough, your consciousness is transferred. But that can't be true, can it? Unless it was... I mean, I killed the Simon pretty quickly. But it wouldn't have mattered, because he was saying things. He was saying things. As I came into being, I could hear him still talking. Which meant he was still aware of himself. He was aware of himself, and so was I. There were two of us. And there's no getting round that. And so, just all in all, this game is just it's a massive. I'm trying to find a term that doesn't involve a swear word, because I'm pretty sure most people know the words I'm looking for. It is a mind. It really does. It attempts to throw you off, and I think it does a pretty good job of it. It's occasionally a little predictable towards the end, I suppose. Even though the main character doesn't seem to have figured it out. But, yeah. I enjoyed the game. I enjoyed the game very much, actually. It really sort of dragged me in. And, well, it made me think, obviously. It made me think, and it knocked me off balance. And I kind of like that. I was expected to be terrified, but instead I was just... yeah. Got my mind messed with. I do like it. I think it's a good game. I think it's... I never felt... kind of like with Dark Descent, I never felt like I was sort of playing a game exactly, if you know what I mean. I could get into the story and just sort of focus on it without really thinking too much about the mechanics. The mechanics worked really well, just like they did in Dark Descent. That, you know, you didn't have guns, you just used the mouse and you picked things up and you dragged them around, and that feeling of opening doors and, say, picking objects up and moving them around, it kind of helped you feel a little more connected to the world. I did like that. Being able to pick up chairs and just move them around or even throw them, it felt kind of connected. And in a game like this, that really is important, because in a way, I suppose, the game is about a search for being connected, trying to find a connection to something that anchors you, that makes you who you are. So yes, once again, they have created a game that has left me a little emotionally exhausted, I suppose. A little wow. But not quite as shell-shocked as I was after Machine of Pigs. I mean, Machine of Pigs that was horrible. Brilliant game, but pretty horrible. And of course, Dark Descent, that was pretty horrible as well, once you realised all the things that you'd done. And I remember at the end of Dark Descent, I was numb. I was absolutely numb to the horror, numb to the fear. Completely accepting of my fate. This is probably one way in which SOMA matches Dark Descent. I mean, in the Machine of Pigs, it ended, and I just... You know, it ended well and it was right, but... It just... The horrible feelings of that end. Whereas in the Dark Descent, when it ended, there was a relief. The ordeal was over. And I don't mean that the game was bad, but the ordeal the character was going through was over. And to some degree, I feel the same with SOMA. Although there is that slight worry. The Simon Jarrett robot zombie thing strapped in the seat at the base of the gun. Is he still conscious? Is he still sentient? Is he there alone, trapped in the dark? And is anyone else trapped down there? It was Catherine. She seemed to be damaged, but is she still down there as well? I don't think any of the humans are. I think the humans that were still being kept alive by WoW, I think they're free. They've been released from what I think was a horrible existence. And of course I did delete some scans that were down there. And I terminated the first copy of Simon Jarrett. But there could still be one down there. And so that horrible sense of... that good sense of closure is also mixed with that horrible sense of slight horror. Is he down there? Screaming angrily at Catherine and at the same time begging her to say something. I guess that's the whole point, isn't it? We're supposed to be sat here now trying to make sense of it all. Ah, well. So that's it. That is my rambling thoughts about SOMA. Perhaps once I've had time to think about the game, I can put something more coherent together. But for now, that's it. Great game. But, wow. It messes with your mind.